guys, oh god, welcome to the video. My name is Jimbo Baby and I got work to do. Alright guys, good morning, welcome to the video. Today we got good things planned for this girl right here. As TJ says, for the boys. Okay. Let me turn this girl on for you, just so you guys can hear her. I've been told this is just a bug and I've had this for a while and it's never given me an issue. But you see a light here on the screen? I got a low oil light. On cold starts, I would get that a bunch on this car and you know, I literally could just turn the car off and crank it back over again and it would go away. But I already drove my car today earlier in the morning when I was filming with Ferretti. So I don't know why that light's coming on. That shouldn't come on. So I'm gonna test it, see if I turn it off right now, and I wanna see if it goes away. All right, let's turn her off. Let's crank her back over. All right, see, now it's gone. See, that doesn't make any sense. I kind of just want to check the oil. Every single time I go to pull that, I think the latch is gonna break. Oh yes, C4 goodness. For those that didn't know, this is the Grand Sport, so this makes like 330 instead of 300. It's not just the Norma LT1. It's got some trick stuff with the cam and the heads. I did drive a Norma LT1 once, and it was slower than this, so there is a noticeable difference if you're kind of on the fence about buying one. You're like, do I want an LT1? Do I need an LT4? LT4s are much better, and it's better to tell people, because when you're like, oh yeah, I have an LT4, they're like, ooh, I need a paper towel. Okay, why is there smoke coming out of my motor? So the oil stops right in the middle of the indicator. So we're okay. So Chevrolet, get your shit together. That smoke was just a little bit of oil that dripped off the dipstick onto the header. Still love those headers, they look great. By the way, nice trick for all C4 owners, if you don't know this already, these lights, unplug them. The plug's down there somewhere. Unplug these so when you raise this thing, it doesn't drain the battery. Not that the interior lights won't drain it first, but unplug these first. Like, unplug these, you'll never need them. Timber! Okay, cool. So, a couple things to note. A couple people were wondering, oh god, there goes my, no! And it actually cracked the iPhone. Look at this is like a brand new iPhone. All I did was drop it a little bit and it destroyed that. Like, look at this. Anyway, a couple things to note. A lot of people ask me in the comments, like, why is your check engine light on? Like, what's wrong with the car? There's nothing wrong with the car. You know, sometimes when you change your exhaust, the check engine light comes on. Well, because of how the exhaust setup is, for those who don't know, it's long tube headers and just glass packs. There's no cats, nothing. Well, what we did was we didn't plug in the primary O2s, only the secondaries, or no, excuse me, we flipped that. It was only the primaries, no secondaries. So the check engine light comes on. But since it's still reading fuel from the mass airflow sensor with the primaries, or it still has a means of reading fuel instead of just, you know, instead of it just running stupid and having absolutely no idea what it's doing, you know, it's got 50%. So 50% is better than nothing. And in the words of David Freiberger, that's a roadkill win. So there's that. Look how dirty this car is, by the way. I think I'm gonna make a whole video talking about like washing wrapped cars and, you know, like the procedure and why wrapping a car is so great because of how little you have to do to detail it. But oh my goodness, like this is nothing short of unbelievable. How this is probably the dirtiest the car's ever been. I've never seen this car this dirty in all places. Like crap falls from there onto here. I could just park it there, but it's made almost no difference all the times I've done it. This is bad. Like I said, I'll make a separate video like washing that car and whatnot, but today's topic is still about the Corvette. Anyway, let's start this girl again. Come on, do it. There we go. For about 30 seconds, I drove Ferretti's like a 360 Modena Ferrari thing. Like, he sold it today and he just needed it moved and he was gone, so he just gave me the keys. So I moved it, and even that car would not start with just giving a little bit of gas. So, you know, even though it's fuel injected, giving it gas still helps. So the next thing I want to talk about in today's video is kind of a top 5 almost. I've been suggested a bunch of times, hey, you should do a video about like the top 5, you know, best things about a C4 Corvette, or top 5 reasons you should buy a C4 Corvette. And I'm going to tell you the one that trumps all of them is they're cheap now. Cheap. But no joke, C4s are cheap now. But like, you know, top 5 best things about a C4, top 5 worst things about a C4. You know, there's a bunch of different ways you could go with that. And I don't want to go full like vehicle virgins on you here, but point is, since C4s get a whole bunch of crap, like I'm pretty sure out of all the generations, C4s get the most crap. And my theory behind this is,
you know, C5s, they don't look the greatest, but everyone respects them because they're like, hey, it's got the LS motor in it. Nobody really has anything bad to say about the C6s or the C7s. Well, C6 is the Cobalt steering wheel, but nobody hates the car because of that. C3s, some people love them, some people absolutely hate the styling on them, but I've found very few people that can't appreciate like an older C3 with side pipes on them. Like, you know, clean chrome bumper C3, that looks nice. You know, maybe in all black and chrome everywhere, that looks good. But C4s, nah. There isn't anything like specific. Like there's no C4 in a movie or anything like that someone's like, oh yeah, all the C4s are terrible except that one. No, most people don't like C4s. A lot of people call the C4 the bastard child of Corvettes that nobody loves. And of course, in my opinion, I disagree with all those people. I love this car to death. You know, I've got a whole story on why I bought this car, and truly, I like the looks of this car. I do. I personally like the looks of this car better than any other Corvette made, which to a lot of people was like, oh, unsubscribe right now. But hey, I like what I like. I like this car. And for those who have commented on my other videos before, yes, for the amount of money I paid for this car, I could have gotten a C5. With that all out of the way, I think the first proper top 5, so to speak, I should ever do on this car is the top 5 reasons everyone hates C4 Corvettes. I'll start from number 5 and go down to number 1, which will be, in my opinion, I think the number 1 reason people hate these cars. So, number 5, they look like shit. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but out of all the Corvette generations, typically people say this one looks the worst. And that really is quite ironic because this generation of Corvettes, the C4, was actually what kind of made the foundation for the rest of the generations and what they've been styled after. This generation kind of put in place the proportions of this car moving forward. So the very long front end, the short back, you know, the 2 headlights right next to each other in the back on each side. They had that in years prior, but it wasn't until this generation that was very distinct. Like everyone knows that a Corvette has 2 taillights in the back like that. But this is the car that did it. And I understand a lot of people don't like the design of this car. I mean, you look at the earlier C4s, like for instance, like Street Speed Mike, the one that he got is an earlier, it's pre-facelift. This is post-facelift. But the pre-facelift ones, to be 100% honest with you, I think they look kind of unfinished. They, you know, the car looks too boxy. I know it's from the 80s, so box all the things. But it looks a bit too boxy. I personally think of the C4s, the post-facelift looked a lot better than the pre-facelift. But, you know, everyone, you know, like I said, beauty's in the eyes of the beholder. Number 4, and this kind of mostly applies to the earlier C4 Corvettes, like pre-facelift, but it's still an issue on these cars, the digital dash. For those who don't know or haven't seen the digital dash on an early C4 Corvette, that is funny. I'll put a picture on the screen right now, but that thing is nothing short of an 80s movie. Like, it is the very definition of the 80s. A liquid crystal digital dash display, and from the sound of it, that sounds cool, but to every mechanic and anybody that knows anything about cars, that sounds like a wiring nightmare. And those things are known to go bad. Not only go bad, but drain the battery, and there's a slew of other electrical issues with C4 Corvettes. Personally, I haven't had any of those issues at all, but some of the people that own earlier C4 Corvette models have had issues with that. And that's kind of a problem because it might not matter if the speedo is out or the tach is out. You can hear where it's shifting or figure out how fast you're going. Well, it's a problem when you don't know how much gas is in your car, or what your oil pressure is, or what your temp gauge is, because it's all digital. Number 3, they're slow. The earlier C4s, yes, they are stupid slow, and there are many things you can do to them to make them fast. I will give them that. But in the 90s, when they had the facelift, the cars did get faster. They had an LT1 in the car, made 300 horsepower, and then if you got the LT4 like this, made 330. So the thing is, I have to say to the people who think they're, you know, absolutely terrible and ridiculously slow, race one. They're faster than a lot of modern cars. You'd be surprised. Number 2, and I can say this with confidence, these things are a pain in the ass to work on. You would think, and I did too, that since you can literally lift up the entire front of this car, like the whole front clip comes up, which is super cool. You know, it looks like an F1 car. I love it. The only problem with that is the way that the engine bay is laid out in this car, everything is very cluttered. It's very cramped. Everything's on top of everything. And with that, it makes it god near impossible to do almost any maintenance on this car besides change your oil. But the number 1 thing, the number 1 reason everybody hates these cars, and they will tell you, even though you want an LT motor and you want that 300 horsepower, buy the older one just so you can avoid it, OptiSpark. Oh my goodness, the war is on OptiSpark. For those who don't know what OptiSpark is, basically this is what happened in the 90s. Chevrolet or GM or whoever the designer of the motor in this car was, they took acid. That's kind of what happened. They took acid and they thought to themselves, you know what we're going to do? Instead of putting the distributor in, you know, on the side of the motor like it is on almost every other, you know, crate motor we have ever made or designed or done anything with. This is what we're gonna do. Let's put the distributor in the front of the motor and we'll put it under the water pump. So in order for you to change it, you actually have to take the water pump off the car. And then they said to themselves, and you know what the best part's gonna be? When they go over a giant puddle, water's gonna hit the OptiSpark in the car and it's gonna short the entire car out. It could destroy the electrical system, it'll destroy the ignition. Won't that be fun? Don't you think that's a good idea for a design of a motor? They literally put the distributor of this motor in the front of the motor, and not only does that make it god near, especially on this car, god near almost inaccessible to touch, it makes changing spark plugs god near impossible. You gotta you can't find the damn, shut up comments. And they could have placed that almost anywhere else in the car and it would have been better, but where they placed it, water can hit it. You know, you say you go over a giant puddle of water or something, or you're caught in a rainstorm, which this car has been. You know, my OptiSpark blew out. This car has 69,000 miles on it now. And the OptiSpark has been replaced twice, only once by me. Shout out to H2O though, because it completely destroyed my OptiSpark. I'm sure of it, because we drove this car for basically an entire weekend in the rain. OptiSpark blew up, but left me stranded on the road. I even have a video of it. Mike's mechanic, Andy, or Diablo Formula Racing, over the phone, he told him it was a 94 instead of an 87 because Mike didn't know what he was talking about. And the first thing that Andy said was, listen, that car is going to kill you, and if it's not the OptiSpark first, it's just the car in general. So that's it for this portion of the video. I have one last thing that I need to talk about today.
So the last thing that I wanted to talk about today revolves around Mike. Okay? For those who didn't see it, Mike in his last video when he got his car appraised with the Duramax, right at the end, you had to watch it right the last 60 seconds of the video. He said, my C4 is going down, and I can guarantee you, Mike, that will not happen with the current state that your piece of shit is. And also considering yours looks like it's on airbags right now and it's broken, I don't think that's gonna work too well, is it? Get your C4 running, let's race. I actually just want to see how far behind yours is, to be 100% honest with you. His makes 245 to the crank, this makes 330 to the crank. Obviously this car is going to be faster, and obviously this thing is going to win. As long as I know how to shift, I should be fine. Oops. But yeah, Mike, I'm looking forward to this, man. Bring that thing to the Wanna Go Fast event on the 30th. I know you're already bringing your C7, but bring your C4 anyway. It's not worth the travel cost at all, but if you brought it, it would be funny. When we are going to race, I don't know. That's kind of just, we gotta organize something, but either way, good things are coming. But yeah, things are getting interesting on YouTube now. Oh, and one other thing. One of the other things we're planning to do is Mike's race on the 6th, where a whole bunch of YouTubers are coming. I think TJ's coming, I know Evan Shanks is coming, and some other YouTubers that he invited and whatnot, which is gonna be really cool. I'm coming as well, which is gonna be fun. I'm gonna bring the vet, but the other thing I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be filming the whole event. So you're gonna get some really, really cool cinematic stuff of the whole thing. I don't know how it's going to be filmed. I mean, I'm gonna be racing as well, and that can kind of be pushed aside. You know, I'll get some runs and whatever. But I don't know how this is gonna film, how we're gonna craft the story behind it. I don't know if Mike's gonna have bracket racing or a tournament style race. So a tournament race would be cool. I know that the whole point of this is not to be some big competitive thing. Nobody cares. We're just, all of us are just guys that make YouTube videos. It's no big deal. But it's buddies getting together after work and going drag racing on a Friday or Saturday night. This isn't serious. There's no competition or anything. We're just going to have fun, man. But I'm eager to see what this car's done. Never been on a drag strip before, so I'd love to see what it does. Either way, that's it for the video. If you enjoyed the video, if you look forward to what's coming with my C4, if you can't tell already, the camera is standing on top of the C4, so me going like this, it's because there's a C4 below it. That's better. But either way, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like the video for me. Subscribe if you haven't already. That's a key thing. What you doing? Subscribe to the channel. I'll keep you guys updated on the race stuff and whatnot. I don't know when Mike and I are actually gonna race C4s. I'd love to. I don't know if he's gonna put a butt ton of money into his first before we race, which I kind of suspect. By the time we end up racing, he'll probably destroy me. But either way, I'm curious to see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. But as of right now, Mike, I'll return what you said to me. You're going down. Have a good one. Mike, you gonna lose!